is very unique.
Little
We're now
development.
joined by Scott Drew, Baylor men's basketball coach. We've got a cat that looks like it could play point guard.
Well, we could have used them on last Saturday.
Scott, we've all known you for a long, long time. For you to get to that point Saturday where you were that frustrated across the board, and I know you'd mentioned something about 19 years at Allen Fieldhouse, I got to ask you that, did you want to get, I know you wanted to get a technical, did you want to get ejected and just have to walk away from there?
No, I didn't want that. I did want, sometimes you always watch the previous year's game, and watching that and clipping some things just brought back some memories that I didn't like. And as you know, it's a tough enough place to play up there. So I'm not trying to say anything that would lead to a fine. But at the same time, I know you have to clearly win up there, and I don't know how I can tread that any finer without getting in trouble. But I think that just from watching last year's game and then the frustration of that game, and again, the officials did not cost us that game at all. So when you get beat like that's on us. Starts with me as the head coach. But as far as I know, we officiate every day in practice too now. So I know that I'm not good enough to get paid, but there's certain things that we do see. And the great thing about computers and slow-mo is if you're right after the game. And I know you can't officiate in slow-mo, but it's not like you make up stuff when you can see things in slow-mo either.
Coach, do you when you do have to get a tech or kind of show some passion, I know you have to leave that club kind of way in your bag, but did you know that Saturday was the time to use it to maybe also help fire up your team, which was listless at that moment?
Sometimes you do that to motivate your team, and other times just frustration gets the best of you as a coach, because coaches are human as well. With that, I think probably all of the above kind of led into it. And at the end of the day, watching the game film after, and just like I told the reporters, I mean, it starts with me, because if the guys aren't ready to play and don't perform at a level that meets the skill set God's blessed them with, that's on me. So I was more disappointed in myself, just because of the way we played, because I know we're better than that. But at the same time, as you know, in this league, you've got to have a short memory, and you focus too much on that last game, you got no prayer for the next game. And I think college basketball, you see that all the time. You saw UCLA lose a heartbreaker to Arizona, and then turn around and lose another heartbreaker to Arizona State. And you saw Kansas get play one of those games that they probably were a little embarrassed against Kentucky, and then they came back the next couple games and played really well. You saw us play against Alabama, and we didn't feel good with that performance. We came back and played well against West Virginia. So hopefully this is a learning experience that sometimes you got to put your finger on a hot stove to know that you can't touch a hot stove anymore. And in this league, if you're not bringing it each and every night, you will get embarrassed. And we got embarrassed. And it's been, since 2019, 2018, since we've been embarrassed like that. So we apologize. I apologize to the Baylor fans, and we'll do and that's not saying Kansas isn't a great team and didn't play well and whatnot, but I know our effort I wasn't happy with. I know our team wasn't. So that's on me to make sure we don't have another one of those experiences. And we might get beat by 30, but it'll never be because, or should never be, by our effort.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of a difficult question, but I think it's a fair question because it was just across the board bad. Did you see anybody you had to have any specific talks with? The film doesn't lie. I saw you make that comment as well, where perhaps there were some that just maybe didn't have it, or in a way not quit on the team, but just kind of just stop playing.
Well, I think it'd be easier to go the other way. Who didn't?
Okay.
who did play well, and again, as the great philosopher Mike Tyson always says, everyone's got a plan till they get hit in the face, and we got punched, and we've been punched before, but we've come back. We got knocked out, and the one thing that the rebounding part really hurt us in the first 13 minutes of the game. We did finish with 17 offensive rebounds. They only finished with 11. The difference is they scored 20 points off of theirs. We only scored 13. The transition points in the rebounding in the first half, 15 and 15, 30 of their 39, definitely was the difference. And our half-court defense wasn't bad. Just we never had a chance to be in it. So the first thing I looked at was transition defense. What can I do a better job as a coach, preparing our guys to change what we did in practice today? And moving forward, we'll do some things different to hopefully put our guys in a better position to be successful with that facet of the game.
Scott, that is a tough place to play. Did you feel kind of I think when Christian Brown had that dunk, it was just like the place went on fire. How do you get out, like outside of just getting hot? Is that the only way you can get out of a place like that where you have to shut the crowd up? Because once they just caught the other day.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places where, the week before we showed up to Alabama, and an hour and a half before the game, there was a longer line than there was at Kansas to get in, and it's all students. And so, I mean, it's any place that you let players and teams get in transition and get easy dunks and threes, and then you have give up offensive rebounds and putbacks. I mean, crowds recognize effort and recognize intensity, and we just gave them fuel to the fire to allow them to continue to be involved and in the game. But I mean, Kansas is tough as any place to play, but there's a lot of other tough places. I mean, in the Big 12, each and every night, if we played like that, the crowds would do the exact same thing. Our goal and why we've been so successful prior to the Alabama and Kansas game on the road, I think we had one of the nations, I think it was the longest nation's win streak in the Power Five on the road. And a big reason for that was because we did a good job keeping people out of transition, not turning it over and putting them in transition, and then a good job on the glass. But the last two efforts haven't been our best, and it's good teams, good programs, good players. We just have to raise our level. One thing that you take a step back and you look at, and I think we haven't had a lot of games this year where maybe our inexperience showed either. And I mean, at Kansas, starting lineup, been there 4 years, been there 3 years, been there 3 or 4 years, 2 years. And we got a bunch of guys that are in that rotation right now they're all in their first year here. And that means first experience getting punched in the mouth like that, and first experience on the road in an environment like that when we did not play well. So hopefully these are learning experiences, and the good thing is hopefully you only have to learn once this way, because I know it only takes me once. I don't want this experience for a couple of years.
You just had practice. Did you see anything? Mm-hmm. Did you see the message had been sent?
And it's not, if you recruit the right players, the message doesn't come in a fashion of just, or the film. I mean, it should be from within inside. I mean, at the end of the day, the players we have don't want to be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. They work hard to be embarrassed. So the good thing is, hopefully it's a teachable, willing spirit that, hey, I don't want this to happen again. How can I make sure it doesn't happen again? You know? And I know we had a great practice today. I've done this long enough to know sometimes you have great practices, you have great shoot-arounds, and the games are lousy, and it's vice versa. But I know we always like to go 1-0, And today we went 1-0. So we changed some things up. Again, it's never we prepare our players to be successful. Then they got to win the one-on-one battles. And if they're not prepared to be in those one-on-one battles, that's on us. So again, we tweak some things, change some things, and it's such a fine line. And what I mean by that is you don't want to get guys injured in practice. You don't want to get guys tired because you want to have fresh legs and healthy bodies come game time, but you don't want to not do enough that they're not able to be effective in the game. And sometimes it's that balancing act. And we've had so many guys banged up, it's been hard to do a lot of competitive things in practice because as you know, you get in the ring with Tyson, you're alert because you know if you're not, you're going to get knocked down. You get in the ring with me, you can have your hands down and I'm not knocked down. You know what I mean? So it's when you have your top players healthy and competing against your other top players, iron sharpens iron. And when you're banged up and can't have guys in practice, the scout team is good, but at the end of the day, James going against Adam is the best way to make those two sharp.
One more thing. You had mentioned this. Maybe Fran brought this up. Scott Drew with us, Sikkim 365 Radio, about a dog. Like an hour. You had guys, three guys in the NBA, one's in the NFL. And they had been marinating and had been with your program, some for longer than others. Do you have a concern about who is the one that wants to be the dog, that kind of people morph or migrate to as someone who can be the leader of this team?
Well, I think this year's team, obviously we have a lot of guys that, that last year's group were successful and then they returned. We have a lot of guys that, you lost 4 starters, so we have people that are returning, but it's new roles for them. And then we have new guys that have come in. Now, so every year you're going to have different type of leadership. I know when we've been healthy, we were 15-0, and the poll said we're the best team in the country, and I think we were the best team in the country. Since that time, we've been banged up. We're still playing without our leading scorer, and at the end of the day, when you play against the best, you got to have the best. And I think short term you can make up for things, but the longer things go, the more they get exposed too. And what I mean by that is you have a player out, you can cover one game, but 3 or 4 or 5 games, you start to feel the effect of guys being out. We've had literally, James, Adam, Jeremy, and LJ. So those are 4 key players. And until we can get some stability where we can get everybody back. And again, it's a little different if you never have them. Like Langston, we never had at the beginning of the year. So you come up with, but it's hard when guys maybe can't get as many practice reps or don't get much practice, and then all of a sudden, if they can go, you're going to try to play them if they can be effective. And so, but then again, if you haven't practiced as much, your timing's a little off. Everyone else's timing with you's off. Your cardio's off. So, as you know, all of that matters. If you want to run your best race, you probably need to be healthy going into the race and had some really good practices leading up to it.
Scott, thank you. I know you just wrapped up practice. You got more to do. Appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight and the transparency as well to what's going on. And good luck the rest of the week. I know you've got Kansas State on the road and then Texas back home. And hopefully, and I know you've talked about this as the very first day I ever met you, and you are always gracious with the home crowd, whether it's the students or not. But hopefully you'll have people who on Saturday are here that give you an opportunity to perhaps be so intense that it does affect parts of the game outside of playing the game as well.
Amen to that. I appreciate it. And again, we will get healthy. We will get better. And as you know, everyone remembers to the ending. So the key is for us to be ready to play our best down the stretch here. And hopefully we can do that.
Thank you, Scott. Scott Drew, head coach of the defending national champion Baylor Bears, and also, of course, right now, number 9. I think I saw that number 9. They're number 10. That's right. It's Kansas 8, Texas Tech 9, Baylor at 10, Texas. And Kansas play tonight. UT is at number 20. He makes a good point. I know we got to get to the top 5. If you don't have, and by the way, he didn't get the technical foul. And he's not blaming. I know I saw some Kansas chatter, and I get that because Kansas frustrated. Baylor won it all last year, and then 2 years ago, Kansas was really, really good again, and the season got shut down just like it did for Baylor and others and Gonzaga. I don't think there's any question, though. There's nothing wrong with him fighting for his team, and in fact, man, he's fortunate he was not ejected because he was on the court as far as he was, not just coaching during in games or whatever, and it was so out of character for him. I sat there and I went, what in the hell did I just see? That's where he was, and there's nothing wrong with him saying what he's saying, and Kansas beat the hell out of Baylor on Saturday.
Yeah, they did. One note before we go, Dennis Allen, new head coach